Okay, give me a second. Let me reset the mic. There we go. Hey, good afternoon, Shaky SoCal with Tool for Forza. Happy Memorial Day. So this is for the second track guide for this week's races in Thursday Night Thunder in this beautiful BMW 3.0 CSL. So second race is at Suzuka, the full circuit. I think again the pairing of this with the Nürburgring GP is we've got two very similar circuits in how they flow, though Tire Dag is a little bit more here at Suzuka. So what I'm going to do really quick is I'm just going to do a quick, just kind of 2 laps, just to kind of refresh my memory. I will do a quick tire check on these mediums, and then see how that lines up with the initial kind of tire tests I did here on controller. Just see if I can suss out any differences. But again, static time of day. Well, it was starting at noon, mostly clear, no track rubbering. I am running what I think is the full race tank of fuel on the medium tires, and that's kind of how I've been doing testing for the most part with this car at each track. So let's go ahead and let's just get started with that. Again, standard format. I'm going to run a couple of laps. I'll give you my take on what I think tire wear is going to be. Then I'll probably do the track, the quote-unquote track walk, what this car seems to like, what it doesn't like here around Suzuka. And then because I need to practice, I'll run a mock race against the AI kind of race length to kind of try and simulate what I might be running into, or at least what situations I might run into on Thursday. Not that it's going to help if I make mistakes and go off like at Mid-Ohio, but some tracks I do better at than others. But let's go ahead and get into at least the opening laps here. So let's go ahead and start race. Skip that. Put it in third. Up in fourth. Brake at the one board. Use a lot of that curving because I'm still going relatively slow. But watch how aggressively you get on the throttle. Back end does like to wander a little bit if the tires start to spin up. Okay, I'm going to be looking for dirt patch on the right there. Turn in. And this is just, for the most part, I'm going to try and balance with the throttle. Occasionally, I might just have to tap the brake a little bit just to get the fronts to grip up a little bit more, like especially here. Still third gear. The tires are still coming up to temp, so. Here. Oh. Let's see if I do that a little better next lap. Torture those rear tires. Going up to Spoon, which I think is one of the most, I think Spoon is the most difficult set of corners to get right on this track, especially when you miss your braking. Hopefully we do better next lap. Just before the 100 board. A little bit of a lockup. Okay, one more. Might be able to brake a little bit later there, but for right now, the 100 board's probably a good enough reference. Oh, got to be careful of that. Don't want to go too far to the outside there. I need to brake a little bit sooner, but we'll salvage it. I missed the apex there, but thank God for Forza's generous track limits. That's a little too hot into the corner. This is why we practice. Better. It's going to take a few laps to figure out the timing on that. Every track has a rhythm. Let's leave it in fourth this time. I was too gentle on the brakes. All right. Let's get the start finish without crashing. We'll just ease off here. So about 20% after 2 laps. So 20, 40, 60. So it looks like, yeah, no, actually that lines up. So all right. So on the mediums, after 2 laps, we're just shy of 20%, and so that kind of does line up nicely with at least what I did on the controller. So here's kind of like what I did for Nürburgring. This was my initial read on the tires of what lap each compound hit 60%. Now, it might have hit 60% at the beginning of the lap. It might have hit it at the end of the lap. It might have hit it somewhere in between. That it's going to be difficult for me to say, oh, it'll hit at the beginning of the lap or like that. We all drive a little bit differently. Race conditions are going to be a little bit different. Tire wear, we've run through all the variables that can play into how much wear you're going to experience. I still think in my heart of hearts, we have the most control of how much wear we put in the tires, especially in the wheel, how much steering you're dialing in, how aggressive you're getting on the throttle. I think a lot of the other stuff has more minor impact, but you know, where it'd be like, oh, well, if we're racing at night, that's going to take a full life. Just that's going to take a full lap's worth of life off the tire. No, it'll take a little bit. It might extend it a little bit, but I still think tire conservation and managing the tires is still mostly, we're the biggest influence. So that being said, all right, so soft tires. I think they're going to hit 60% somewhere on lap 5. So it's a little bit it's a little bit worse. It's a little bit worse than Nürburgring GP, especially because again we have the S's going up here at the beginning of the lap. There is a bit more medium speed corners to deal with. Medium tires here, just off the 2 laps here. It looks like you're going to get to lap 6. If you're good on the tires, you can probably do 6 full laps. You might be able to squeak a 7th if you wanted to. They'll hit 60%, somewhere on that 7th lap. At this point, I would say it's probably going to be earlier in the lap than later. So take that under advisement. And then the hard tires, 9 laps, which is, again, the difference between, I think in the race I did at the Nürburgring, I was getting like 11 to maybe 12 there, and I'm only getting 9 here. So we'll see when I get into the mock race. We'll see how that backs up, depending on strategy. Excuse me. So let's get into the track walk. At least what I'm trying to do around Suzuka. And again, I might learn some things during the practice race that, or oh, anyhow, this is what I know now. I guess is what I'm trying to get to. I may learn some things later. So Either this will show you things you can do or show you things you shouldn't do. But coming down here, fourth gear, I think ultimately you're going to need to come back up into fifth. But coming down the front straightaway, the first things I'm trying to spot, for me, it's easy to see the TV crane to kind of orient. That's a little bit further down than where I want to brake at, but at least it gives me an idea of what to look for. Braking board wise, I think for right now, the 100 board is probably going to be the most consistent. It does still kind of line up. It's hard this time in this game compared to Forza 7 to see, kind of the scaffolding tower just on the other side of the fence. I think in Forza 7 there was like a TV camera position that was a little bit more prominent as far as what I could catch in peripheral as it was going by, but it seems to be about the same spot. But I would say the 100 board is probably a good reference point. It's probably a good, depending on the tires. Again, softer tires, you could probably brake a little bit, further up, maybe towards the access road. I'm going to be playing around with that in the race. 100 board's safe. It's probably a little, actually, in talking about it, it's probably past the 100 board. It's somewhere between the 100 board and the access road is probably where most of us are going to be braking, depending on tire and wear. Soft tires at the end of their life, I'm not going to be able to brake as far up as I could, earlier when they were, grippier. Um, but fifth gear and coming down in the first corner, I mean, the first corner it is kind of like two turns, double apexing. Gearing wise, if I'm in fifth, I think what I'll probably my habit's going to be as I hit the brakes, I'm going to start arcing the car in. I'll drop it to fourth for the first half of the corner to get it to the apex. Then let the car come out, brake again as the car comes out to the left side here, drop it to third. Maybe get out, onto the red and white curbing, turn it in, still third gear. And at this point, pretty much going to be in third gear practically all the way up to Degner 1 and 2. Bring the car back across to the right. So as I said on my kind of my 2-lap testing, it's like I'm looking for, there's no really prominent static reference. So at least during the daytime, I have no idea what this will look like at night. I'm looking for, you can kind of see how the grass texture where people have gone off in the game, but you can see just up here. Let me just get the hood up to it. This big dirt patch right here. So that big dirt patch that's kind of going off, that's visually. Then as soon as I'm coming out of the first right-handers, I'm looking to spot that and see where that is. And as soon as I can get that in peripheral, then I can start bringing my eyes up and start focusing more on the left-hander here and keep that grass spot or that dirt spot in my peripheral. As I get past it or I get to it, it is a little bit of a break. I tend to turn in a little bit later than I think the game will want you to do. But what I'm trying to do is still third gear, get the car onto the curbing, take advantage of the extra green curbing on the inside there. It's not going to upset the car too much. And at this point through the S's, it really is there. The curbing is gentle enough where it's probably go ahead and get your tires on the curbings. And hell, if you even want to get it just a little bit past into the dirt, it doesn't really upset the car that much. If you are, kind of paying attention to what the car is doing and at this point, these next set of S's, it's really just about throttle management, maybe a little bit of brake here or there, just to, hey, I need to get a little more weight in the front tires to get them to grip up. Um, but that's really what you're doing through these next set of corners. Again, the softer the tire, the more aggressive you can maybe be. Um, but again, the consequence is you're going to wear as well. Um, so out here, let the car come to the left side, bring it back over, maybe about mid-track, ease off the throttle, turn the car in, look for the green, get the car on there. This is one where this turn it's a longer turn, but it's also a little bit sharper on entry. You will have to brake a little bit here. Maybe not as much on the soft tires. But generally, I like to try and get the car and keep it to the inside and just kind of track the inside curving all the way through. Maybe on the exit, I might bring the car back out to the middle a little bit, but for this one, I don't want to go all the way to the left because I do want the car about mid-track at worst so that I can set up the entry here for the next corner, still third gear. bring the car in. Again, the dirt patches can kind of help give you kind of an apex. Bring the car out. I will try and bring the car out as far as I can. This is, if you remember, if you've ever raced the driver tires in Forza 7, driver tires were notorious for dropping tires through here and going off into the gravel trap. So I always kind of have that in the back of my mind. You do, bring the car out to the right, but just give yourself a little bit of wiggle room, because there isn't, again, there's no curbing if you drop tires, and it'll suck the car, it'll pull the car off to the right. You're going to struggle to get it back across. Then if you're not careful, then when those tires get back on the pavement, then all of a sudden the car might start hooking to the left. So just be mindful. Still third gear. Maybe bring it up to fourth. I'm going to bring the car back across. I'm going to try and late apex this corner so that I'm lined up with the left side of the road as I'm getting here. Won't always happen. There might be times I'll be in the middle of the track and have to bring it back across. Again, it's what I'm trying to do. We'll see how well it goes. Coming down here for Degner 1 and Degner 2. For me, at least right now, as far as my confidence level and what I think I can get out of the tires, the braking for Degner 1 is not at any of these two boards. It's not even at the timing line here in free play. It is somewhere, I'm kind of, again, using the off patches here, the dirt patches, to kind of gauge it. But it is about halfway between, for me at least right now, it's about halfway between the 100 and the 50 board. So past the 100, and just kind of use your Mark 1 brain to kind of calculate where the halfway point is between, and that to me is about where I'm going to brake for it. I will be in fourth gear. This is the other one, two different gearing philosophies. Possibly maybe on the harder compounds or when the tires are cold, I may, at least for that first lap or so, downshift to third, just to help get the, higher gearing, puts a little more weight on the front of the car, get a little gearing help on the braking. Maybe on the softer compounds, especially the softs, I may be able to do this in fourth because I have more grip in the tire. But it is a bit of a break. Get the car turned in. I'm going to try and abuse this curbing as much as possible, because it is very easy if you don't get that right, or you're carrying too much speed. We've all done it at some point or another. We've gotten too hot through the Degner 1, and we go off into the gravel trap here on the left side. I am going to take advantage of the curbing as much as I can to get the car up to the left. For Degner 2, I have no reference points to gauge at, except you can kind of see right in front of me on the white line, you see the two little more prominent kind of dirt that's been brought back on the track. It's the bigger one just past that. If I can spot that, that's going to help it as a reference point for me. Again, at night at this part of the track, I have no idea what the lighting's going to be like. So, discretion is the better part of valor. I might brake a little bit earlier just to make sure I don't mess up the apex on Degner 2 heading up the hill. So fourth gear at this point, or maybe third, definitely brake and down to third for this corner, taking advantage of the exit curbing for the entry curbing. If I do it right, I'm going to get on the inside curbing here, bring the car out. I'm going to take advantage of the exit curbing here, and probably as I get to this patch under the overpass, or wait, is this under the path? I always get it confused, but basically when I'm off the curbing, if I'm going to straddle the curbing on the exit, once I get to about here, this is where I'll bring the car back onto the track, heading up to the hairpin. Used to be a nice TV camera boom, crane boom that you could use as a reference for turn in. Don't really have that now, so about maybe where the Honda sign is, or the shack. But what I'm intending to do is I want to bring the car in so that I'm on the right side by the time the curbing ends here on the right. Now, my 2 out laps, I tried 2 different ways of going through the corner, going through the hairpin. My tendency is, once you pass the braking, once you pass the curbing on the right side, at this point, this is where I'm going to be braking into the hairpin. I tend to treat this like the hairpin at Nürburgring, just going left this time, where I like kind of braking in a straight line into the apex, kind of diamonding the entry of the corner. because it does seem to work with, there is a little bit of banking into this hairpin. You're going to crest it here and then get into the banking. That to me seems to work best. Down to second gear, in turn, and then just being mindful of throttle on exit. Very easy again because we're coming out of this hairpin, going uphill, cresting a hill. At the back end, you'll be able to spin. Very easy to spin the rear tires up on this car. So just as you kind of crest the hill and you straighten the wheel out, and that's the other thing. The straighter your wheel is, the more confident you should be able to get onto the throttle and get to full throttle. If you still have a lot of steering in, you try to get to full throttle, if you spin the tires up, you know, the car's gonna, you might get yourself into a tank slapper. So just there. Usually, then I just keep it to the right, roll up through the gears. Might let the car come off the right side a little bit halfway. I don't usually go all the way out to the left. And again, kind of following the racing line. That's rubber on the pavement. Heading into Spoon, in my opinion, the most difficult corner on the track to get right consistently. Um, I'm still trying to relearn references here. I haven't gotten anything consistent yet, and this just bear with me on this one. 100 board's too late. I think I've demonstrated that already. Um, so I'm trying to find. I just haven't gotten used to looking for other things that are consistent and work. So I can see kind of the brown temporary lighting pole there on the right. That seems to that once that's going out of view, that might be a good reference point. It's just before the 100 board. The ambulance on the left side might be good as well. So those are things I'm going to be looking for to try and sort out when I need to get on the brakes for Spoon. So brake, 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 brake. Let's see. It might be fourth gear. We'll see how I do in gearing. I think it's a third gear and exit, but this is kind of like turn one where if you want to downshift and get a little more braking help getting into the corner, great. If you want to, if you're confident on your braking, you want to carry the higher gear in, have the car a little more relaxed. I think that's fine too. Find what works best for you. But again, if you look at the map, you know, it's not a full 90-degree right. So the entry, the first part of Spoon is a little bit quicker in, but then you really got to get the car slowed because the second part of Spoon is it's a much sharper turn. It's more than 90 degrees getting out. But if I do it right and I turn in, I should be able to get the car, to the apex here. You kind of looking at the dirt on the track. It's this middle part transitioning to the second part of Spoon that I always have problems with. So I do like bringing the car out and getting it on the curbing. And in Forza 7, one of the things I used to look for to kind of help, if dare I say, find an apex, not really an apex, but at least a reference point when I know that I'm in the middle of Spoon and it's like, okay, I've exited the first part and now I'm setting up for the entry for the second one, is that drainage grain, drainage grain, drainage drain. Yes, I can speak English. That's just off, just on the other side of the green curbing. If I remember correctly in Forza 7, that was also painted green, so it actually stood out more at speed. It's not painted now; it's harder to see. So I'm kind of still, maybe as I'm doing laps and I get used to it, I can start picking it up peripherally. But I'm still searching here. I'm kind of looking again things that I'm going to make a note of. Is like how easy is it going to be to see the orange uh, end of the tire barrier there on the right side. Um, do I try and look ahead? I don't know if I want to look up ahead at the power tower that's ahead of me here, because really I really want to try to get my eyes into the second part. So we'll see how it goes. But usually for me, that drainage grate there is that point of, okay, I probably want to brake a little bit to get ready for Spoon. What I do know, it seems this still works, is coming at the end of the curbing. I'll bring the car off the curbing, and that's kind of my sign to turn in. I'll be either turning in as I get to it or just starting to turn in just and get off the curbing just as I get to the end of it. So we'll see how I do. Still third gear. I want to try and get the car to the apex, to late curbing here, and then start to let the car, unwind the wheel, bring the car out, and aim for the beginning of the curbing on the right side. That's kind of what I'm going to intend to do. Won't always happen. More often than not, I'll probably, especially on the harder compounds, the car is going to push wide. Again, in a racing situation, if you're on a softer tire and the car in front of you is maybe on the harder compound, or maybe their tires are more worn, you know, looking for the car to push wide early at the second part of spoon, and if you can cut in a little bit and get the run out, that is, you know, it's going to be a nice spot to set up runs out of spoon onto the back straight here. So again, onto the back straights, second gear, third gear, fourth gear. I think I'll more often than not wind it out in fourth. I don't think you need to go fifth. I don't think it's really long enough to go to fifth. We'll see what I do in the race. Now heading down to 130R. What I'm looking for now, right now, since I'm in kind of test drive and your meetup, they've got the timing line. The timing line is actually at a good spot for where you need to, where, at least where I think you need to brake for 130R. It's not a harsh brake. You're just woeing the car up enough to get some weight on the front of the tires so that you can get the car into the corner, and then you can, as you get to the apex, you can start rolling back to the throttle on the way out. But since depending on the lobby setup, we're not going to necessarily, if the lobby is set up correctly, again, not the host's fault, it's just the way Forza transitions between meetup and custom race. Um, if that timing line isn't there, it's the left light pole that's right with it. It also kind of lines up with I think the TV camera crane is a little bit closer up the track, but at least visually you can kind of see, if you can see that light pole there, kind of between the two TV cranes. That to me is the breaking point. So fourth gear, if you want to downshift to the third, you can. I don't think you need to. I think this is a fourth gear corner. Also, again, it's easier for me to spot the pole than the braking boards, but you've got the 100 board as well. So if you see the braking boards easier, 100 board. So it's a brake here. For me, the turn in is as I pass this light pole on the right side. Actually, it's not a light pole, it's a speaker pole. As I'm passing that, that's the turn in. Get on the inside curbing, fourth gear, roll back out, start to fidget with the throttle. But again, because even the exit of 130R, we're still kind of in the midst of a turn. We don't really fully straighten out. If you commit too quickly back to full throttle, the car might push out, or you're going to have to throw a little bit more steering to keep it from going off on the right side. So, for me, I'll probably be rolling back to the throttle once I kind of get it out here. Again, generous track limits, you can use a bit of that. Bring the car back over to the left, and braking for the Casio triangle is, I think I was just saying earlier, 100 board's probably too late. So I'm looking at the 100 board. I'm also looking at the light pole that's just before it. So for me, the braking seems to be somewhere just as you get to it. So right about here. Maybe when I'm on the softs, I can brake at the 100 board. That's, again, it's kind of, I'd rather have something a little more consistent where I can kind of get into a consistent pace, and then maybe help preserve the tires a little bit more, especially if I need to use them in a fight, late in the race. But anyhow, brake, down to second gear. And second gear for these last set of corners, if you get your braking right, abuse the crap out of these curves. Cross over it, open this up a little bit, turn in, use a lot of this inside, roll back into the throttle. For the last corner, you're in second gear, again, with the wheel spin and the back end of this car coming out of the Casio triangle. You might feel, if you commit to throttle, you roll back in too quick and you still steering, you'll feel the back tires start to spin up. Get it to third, and roll second gear, third gear. That again, that for me, with manual with clutch, that second to third gear shift is a little bit harsh. So just be ready, just for the back end to kind of a little bit as you're getting up and rolling, going up through the gears. But third gear, fourth gear, back onto the front straight. Let it come out to the left side here, and that's Suzuka. How much additional tire wear did I do? Slow that, only 3%. That's really good. So that's Suzuka. That's kind of what I'm trying to do with this car. We'll see how I do. Again, this is ideal test conditions to try and sort out, at least to get in consistency. It's then applying that consistency to race conditions, which none of us know what they're going to be when we get it. For all we know, it could be raining, which then throws, everything I've just done out the window. So, all right, let's go ahead and get out of here. And let's go exit to event menu. So as I've done in previously, because I'm not going to answer that. The home phone's never for me anyway. So actually, I should have just taken that opportunity to pause the stream. But as I was going to say, because audio bitrate, streaming, Xbox, Twitch, weird stuff, I'm going to pause the stream, just kind of reset the bitrate on the audio portion so that we don't get pops and crackles at the end of the broadcast. And we're going to set up the mock race and let's see what we can do. So stand by for pausing. Okay, now that there we go. Now that I've paused, I need to reset the mic again because technical stuff that I don't understand. There we go. All right, so we're going to set up a mock race. What I don't know is how many laps we're going to do. I think it's 15 or 16. I think I will run 15 because the lap at Suzuka is slightly longer than Nürburgring, to the point where I think a 15 lapper is going to be in the window. So let's find out. And I will try and set the lap distance correct this time. Suzuka circuit, full circuit, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There we go. Starting time of day, let's do random. Time progression rolling, 24x. Weather, random, but if it rains, I'm going to re-roll for weather. Dynamic track rubber on at 50. All the drivatars. Cars. Let's put everybody in the same car. So go to BMW, and then the CSL. And then rules. Sport rules is fine. Tire wear 4x. Standing start, random grid order, though I will drop the back. And mandatory pit stops 1. Okay. Do I accept these options? Yes, I accept these options. Favorable verbal.
The relatively old asphalt sections here at Suzuka should provide some solid traction for the intense lateral G-loads you'll feel through its 18 corners.
And which also means higher tire wear relative to other circuits. Let's go ahead. Let's see what we got. So we have looming clouds, but we're starting at 6 p.m. So this will be interesting because we're definitely going to be running through the middle of the night, but we might get a little bit of a sunrise. The only thing I dread, though, is, and I forget, I just know that I'm not sure if it's sunset or sunrise, but it coming down to the braking for the Casio Triangle is really bad when can get really, really bad. But all right, so let's go to car. Let's go to fuel and tire. All right, so let's figure out what am I going to do for race strategy. We're doing 15 laps. Um, so I'm actually going to try. I'm going to try. We'll try we'll do the hard soft again. Let's see what happens. Because again, at least my initial read was the hard tires will go 60% after about 9 laps. We'll hit 60% on lap 9. The soft tires will hit 60% on lap 5. But that leaves me about a lap short on a 15 lap race. My thought is, and for a race situation, I'm not going to be, I'm starting at the back, and that first lap, since I'm in so much traffic, I'm not going to be going, full tilt. So that first lap, tire wear should be low enough, relative to subsequent laps, where maybe I can get that 10th lap out of it. So it's probably what we're going to find out. All right, so we'll start on the hard tires. And the other thing I'm going to check here is the 15 laps. Is it best to just, I think I'm just going to not worry about fuel again and say 15, we'll do 16 laps. 16 laps on fuel, just barely. We'll start on the hard tires at 4x. Oops. And let's go ahead and start race and see how well we do. Drop to the back. Damage up, good. Okay. Now the S's, again, with the differing tire compounds and the increased wear, as I said, I think I mentioned in previous track guides, we're going to have comers and goers. You're going to have, people on harder compounds or maybe softer compounds, but worn tires. I don't know how easy or difficult it's going to be to actually go side by side up through the S's. And maybe just kind of taking advantage of traction on the exits. Or, just hitting the brakes and running into people.
Total time penalty is about half a second.
It wasn't intentional. One thing's for certain, I'm going to figure out where all my reference points are in the dark. Excuse me. What? I'm gonna look, but there's some room there. Thank you, I'll take that. Probably didn't need to drop it to second there. That's just reflex and habit. A little bit of a lift on the hard tires. Yeah, so sunrise is horrible at Suzuka. I'm really just dropping to second just because I'm not sure where Zavistov is going. Of course, it doesn't help when I miss shifts too. We're doing this. In the 130R, we're doing this. Again, I will do that against the driver tires. Not sure how smart that will be in the race. Luces. Clouds. Wish I could really pay attention to them more. Yeah, so I'm braking for this corner just as I get to the curbing on the right side. It's not hugely heavy brake. It's just, again, enough to get the car slowed down and a little weight on the front tires. Trying to be as gentle on the tires as I can coming out of that corner. I actually wasn't half bad there through Spoon. I don't know if I'll be able to do that again. Oh, there we go. All right. It's a little bit early. It looks like the light post that I'm trying to use as reference has like I guess has the braking board illuminated just past it. So it looks a little bit different. Again, can't talk and drive and shift at the same time. Air check, 17%. Oh, 17, 34. After 4 laps, 34. Yeah. I don't think I can make the hard's last 10 laps. They will go. Keep it clear. Yeah, the car understeers a little bit through that long right-hander, so have to ease off the throttle a little bit just to keep some weight in the front. I don't want to. I'd rather adjust with the throttle than crank more steering into the wheel and wear the tires more. Okay. Whoa! What are we doing? Okay, turn 10. What the hell was that? Oh, that's very late. That's very late. That could have been better, but that's why you want to leave yourself a little room on the right side there. This next part of this right-hander here, cresting the hill, I felt that the front of the car pushed a little bit. It's better now. Let's see how big of a run I'm getting. Pretty big. Yep. It's the AI. Why not? And discretion is the better part of valor. I don't know. I don't know if I would do that aggressive of a move into 130R. If I knew I have the tire advantage, I might try and set up and make the pass on the exit. We just finished 4 laps. Where are we at? Alright, so we're just at 30% after 4 laps. Oh, after 5 laps, I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe the tires are coming back to me. Would help if I put it in the right gear, though. I wanted to do that. I just couldn't get as much momentum out as I wanted to. That's the penalty. Oh, no penalty. Thank you. Stewart's felt bad for the half second earlier in the race. So yeah, at night, you know, the light pole I'm looking for, you'll see 2 of them. It's the second one that's got like basically I think it's the braking board that's illuminated. It'll stick out a little bit more. Thinking about it. I left space. I left him space, and he chose violence. So I definitely have some clear track in front of me. Just kind of make the most of it. Just kind of get into that nice rhythm, good consistent pace. Yeah, I'm braking a little bit too early there, but I can't. Again, at night, it's hard. Oh, that's going to be a penalty. It's a warning this time. Next time, they'll give me a penalty. So even again, because of the shift from second up to third is a bit harsh. You know, if you want to kind of mitigate, you know, some of the wheel spin that would happen, you can always just breathe the throttle really quick as you upshift. Oops. Oh, that was almost a little too wide. Let's see if I get another monster run down into Spoon. Yep. Thank you. I'll take that. Where are we? 47. All right. Still looking good. A lot of that curbing through the chicane there. Two more laps on these tires. Missed my marking there. So yeah, so the braking I'm using there at night for getting into Degner 1 is kind of that shadow between the two light posts. It seems to be a good, darkness seems to be a good reference point. Pushing a little bit. They're definitely starting to tell me they're tired. The tires are tired. Yeah, definitely getting a lot more understeer coming out of Spoon. I guess the question is where are we? Where are we on tire life? Okay, 54% on the front, so they're going to turn 60 on lap 10, but that should be fine. It just means that Spoon's probably going to be a bit of a challenge. They're going to go 60% at 130R. Got to be careful of the triangle here. Oh yeah. Okay, where's pit lane entrance? And didn't get stuck. All right, so 5 laps left. We're going to go to softs. Let's see how long they last. Skip. Oh, just get a little drink. Here, you're going to put me up. Come on, find a gear. Okay, don't do that. That was a very unsafe rejoin because I crossed over the white line before, but I was also trying not to run into the guy in front of me while I'm trying to find a gear because I don't know what I'm doing. But we're now in 5th, and it looks like everybody in front of me has pitted, at least that I can see. Let's see if I can catch first place there without destroying the tires. Just because I have grip doesn't mean I can drive like an idiot. It's a little bit too quick into the corner. I think what we learned at Mid-Ohio, or at least with Brad, is I think the soft tires are stupid OP compared to the other compounds, because I was kind of surprised even late in the race just how much grip I had on acceleration out of the keyhole, and just walked past Brad as it, it was on the mediums, but you would have thought that even they'd be a little bit closer in performance, but so that's the other thing to be careful of too, because we're all in different. We'll probably run similar strategies, but again, depending on when people pit, and I don't know if a two-stopper is worth it here or not. Might be, just given the tire deg. But I think with all the tire stuff going on, the best passes to set up are ones where you can get acceleration out of a corner and just be alongside or past them before you even have to brake to the next one. As I almost go up there. It's always fun freaking the AI out. Again, I get I think I've mentioned it before. I would love if they could add to the little card, the display card over the tops of the cars, if they could somehow add the tire compound that they're running. That way we kind of know, like, oh, I'm on softs, you're on hards. Because it's not like we have, it's not like IndyCar or F1 where you have the different color bandings on the outside, on the walls of the tires to see what they're running.
3 to go.
It'd be nice to kind of have that information available. Okay, so I definitely have the tire advantage, but I'm not going to force things here unless the car in front of me makes a big mistake and pushes wide. Probably just going to sit back and bide my time. Got no threat from behind, so it's like I'm not having to push my way through. Alright, we're going to see if we can surprise him into Degner 2. Give myself a little bit of a gap. Down. Nope. Oh, but if you're going to leave the door open for me, thank you. Driver tires haven't figured out how to go side by side through Degner 2. The next thing would have been, again, it's just kind of looking at how big of a run do I get out of Degner 2 up the hill. I don't know that I would try to dive bomb into the hairpin, but if it doesn't look like I got some of the hairpin, can I set something up heading down to Spoon? So for me, it's always kind of like setting up the passes is more about how good is my exit of the previous turn onto a straight, and the high percentage ones is my preference would be to have a good enough run out of Spoon to where I'm already alongside or just about to pass before we get to 130R, because I don't want to have to go side by side through here if I don't have to. If I don't have it at 130R, back off a little bit and set up, and maybe get the run to get alongside into the final chicane here as I completely missed shifts. Okay, so how much? Probably pretty good on wear. 37? Yeah. Well, that was very late. Gather it up. Bring it back slowly on track. Sun's just coming up. Come on. The other thing I gotta be careful of is the weight shift going left to right. If I have too much throttle as I bring the steering wheel back past center, I feel the front end the car starts to walk on me. A little bit early. See if I can do that a little bit better on the next lap. That was drastic. Oh, the sun. It's going to be really bad at the end of the next lap, I think. Minor tire wear, we're at 50%. Oh, yeah, I can tell. All right, so yeah, the tires will...
Last lap. Let's go.
And again, I breathe the throttle there from the third to fourth, mainly because I have steering angle. I'm still in the middle of a corner, and just that little lift going from third to fourth, just trying to prevent the wheels from spinning up. That's a little better. Lost a couple tenths though, so. And there's 60%. I just saw the moderate sign come up. Yep, they're pushing. There's Suzuka. So that is Suzuka full in this BMW with the 4X tire wear. So yeah, it looks like for both at least my laps on controller and wheel, yeah, 5 laps, it's going to hit 60%. So that seems to be pretty consistent. So, and 33. Okay, so 33 minutes on that. And we might do 16 laps. It might be the same as the Nürburgring. So if that's the case, then that really throws, some thought process into that one, because maybe then you have to baby the hards a little bit longer to get them to lap 12. Lap 12. Let's see, 16.5. No, I did 10.5. Lap 11. If you can get 11 laps on the hards, if it's a 16 lap race, then you can do 5 laps on the softs. But then again, you're at the end of the tire life on both stints. So we'll see how strategies prevail. But let's go ahead and continue, because I want to see myself on the podium. Well, my avatar, drivatar. Hey, Enigmas, Skiwi, Envy, and yes, yeah, that's what I'm doing in the helmet. So that'll be it for this week's track guides. Post this up. Hope you guys have a good week. Hope you had a great weekend. It was a fantastic Indy 500 yesterday. Happy Newgarden won. Feel bad for Pato. I think it's like his time's coming. I think just his time's coming. I'm kind of glad Dixon didn't win, because I really thought he should have gotten a penalty. I think he did move over a little bit on Hunter Ray, but then great run by Daly and great run by Rossi. So it's kind of, but all in all, very good Indy 500. But with that, I'm going to call it a day. Hope you guys have had a good week. We'll see you on Thursday. Happy racing.